of NCIC, I want to strongly, without and reservation, to condemn the statement of former and second Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Gachagua. Those remarks were very unfortunate. It was inciting to the public, saying that if elections are rigged, the 207-208 will look like a Christmas party. That was too low of the leader who has held the second most powerful office. And we should be responsible as leaders. We should be careful in what we say this country. That's why when you go to Rwanda and you are a prolific journalist and maverick journalist who has covered media for some time now, that's why when you go to Rwanda, when you make some comments, you are prosecuted immediately. Because the unity, stability and cohesiveness of this country, we must protect, Trevor. We must protect as a country. We cannot, as leaders, if we can make reckless remarks as such as that, what are we headed as a country? And therefore, I want to ask the NCIC, although they came a bit late, that no one is above the law. The former Deputy President must and should appear before NCIC to tell the country what he meant. Personally, before I have appeared before NCIC, we must submit ourselves to institutions that we created under Constitution 2010. And I hope people like Maanzo and you two should not politicize this issue. Because he made it on one of the shows of some of the online media platform. And he made it with, in fact, he didn't mistake it, he made it rooting, knowing the fragility of the peace across the country. But I want to tell the country and to tell former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, that if in as much this thirst and anger for power should not drive us to bring wage among Kenyans. And we have said, and President William Ruto has said, no Kenyan, even one, will go against another Kenya on account of an election. These guys have sensed a defeat. That 2027, the re-election of President William Ruto is a sure bet. And that is why a sure bet as a cocksure. Because they have realized that is why they are making inflammatory remarks.
By who? You said it's a sure bet. Who is a sure bet?
No, they have panicked. That is why you see Rigathi Gachagua making a lot of noise.
The election of the president is a sure bet. How?
Yeah, it is a sure bet because that is panic. You know, we are politicians.
How do you know this?
We have known, of course. You have seen the performance of the president. The other day he was launching 1,100 housing units here in Mukuri housing.
Which one?
Even in my own. Can I have my chance so that they can? Can you provide pen and paper to Manso so that he can write it?
In fact, I'm giving you more time because you're alone.
Yes.
The issue here is that one of the statements that the former deputy president made.
Yes.
Is it insensitive or insightful? Because this chest thumping that you have is where the concerns come in. In fact, some of the people from your side have already said that this is a sure shot. 2027 means you're going to...
Whether we like it or not.
Yes.
No. In fact, some of your allies have even said that is for Tutajaza. This is where the problem is. And can't you see that?
Trevor, as the planners of this morning show, plus your directors, in future provide pen and paper. So that your panelists can take down, so that when, yes, I'll come back, yes, so that I don't need to be echoed or derail my thoughts. What I'm saying, the reason we are not just stamping, what we are saying is, look at the track record of the president so far, 2.5 years down the line. There is a lot that he has achieved for this country that we are sure.
Very poorly.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Why he will never finish. Charakai will never finish.
It's 2 against 1.
He will never finish.
If you had told me that they would be heckling, I would not have turned up for this show.
It's 2 against 1 because
yes. And that is why Kalonzo will never be the president of this country. Because if this is the quality of advisors, you can imagine how low we will sink.
Focus on the discussion.
Let me focus, and that is why you need to protect me so that I give you lethal points. What I'm saying, Trevor, is very simple. The track record of the president is very clear. And that is why I'm condemning the statements by the former deputy president. That is insightful against Kenyans. And even people like Senator Newt, who was his close ally, should have been the one to advise him against making reckless statements. You can imagine Kenyans, over 1,000 Kenyans we lost in 2007-2008. Many Kenyans, this matter has ended in ICC. Many Kenyans were uprooted or deported from their homes. We should be bringing cohesiveness. I wish you would have criticize the president based on the track record of performance. Okay. Question the housing program. Question the issue of university funding model. But it looks like this should be condemned, and I want to urge NCIC to crack down on any other leaders who are including leaders even on our political divide.
Including
if there are comments that Cherargei has made,
like the ones that made this morning,
that bring insightful to the nation, the NCIC should not fear nobody.
Okay.
And that is why we are saying there is no one above the law, including Cherargei.
All right. Joe, were these statements simply insensitive or insightful? Those are two different things. You could say something that irks people and they feel that it's insensitive of you to say it. And then there's something that riles people into a fight, which is now insightful.
Trevor, in this whole debate about what Riggy said, I have watched other people condemning Riggy for making this statement. And they have been very careful to avoid the first part of this statement, which was, if IEBC messes up elections and forces Ruto on Kenyans, then there'll be consequences more grave than those of 2007. Simply. But they are taking the second part about the consequences. Nobody will tell you from that side where Senator Cherargei belongs. Nobody will tell you about the first part, rigging the elections. Because that is a condition that Riggy was talking about. That if you rig elections...
Point of order on this.
He's becoming the heckler. He has been condemning here. He's becoming the heckler.
Point of
you
order.
never heard me raising a point of order. Take a pen and a paper.
Okay.
You are the person here. Yeah. So, well, please write. So, nobody will tell you about 2000... what the first part of Riggy's statement. And I find that very, 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 very pretentious. Just arguing to your convenience and to draw hatred at Riggy. Now, you have done something very good to ask him. And this NCIC, by the way, I don't think it's an independent commission, because if you are talking about, if NCIC is summoning Rigathi Gachagua for just saying that, elections in 2027 should not be, rigged. We have had Kamket, Honorable Kamket, say that they know how to manufacture a president for 24 years. NCIC did not summon or even raise any word against Kamket. We have had Sudi say that they cannot have a president for just one term. It has never happened. Ruto must do a second term. Senator Cherargei, seated here, is reported to have said, sisi hatukuja hii town ati kufanya kazi kwa muhula mmoja. This Senator Cherargei is seated here. So, when you are uttering words, or when leaders have uttered words, which actually imply that it is not the results of the election of 2027 that will determine who becomes president, but other factors, best known to Senator Cherargei here, Honorable Kamket, Honorable Sudi, and you do not think as NCIC or as Kenyans supporting William Ruto, you do not think that that is something that is already causing panic amongst Kenyans. And I talked about it in the Senate the other day, and Senator Cherargei here, rose on a point of order and pretended not to understand a very simple English word, fierce, just because of the convenience. So what we are saying is, if NCIC wants to be seen as an impartial body, anybody who utters words to show that the presidency in 2027 will not be determined by the results of the election, but other matters should be summoned. And I would like Senator Cherargei, when he comes back, to address the first part of Riggy's statement, that whether there are plans to rig the elections. Because it is only, he said that 2027 will be worse than 2007 if the elections are messed up with. Let them address that. The other thing that we must say, because I have listened very keenly to Senator Cherargei, and I don't interrupt people when they are talking, even when they tear me apart. He has said that those of us that are on this other side, that we are sensing defeat, that Ruto's re-election is a sure bet. Trevor, Senator Cherargei is a smart person. He is a trained lawyer. He can be able to do some calculations. Where will President Ruto get the votes? President Ruto won over Raila Odinga by a margin of about 200 and something thousand votes. President Ruto has lost all the votes in the mountain, almost 4 million. President Ruto, you know, is now, and the chest thumping that you see Senator Cherargei with is because of ODM support. And they believe that they will get the support of ODM. That is why he's saying it's a sure bet. But, and I think I had indicated it before, Trevor, listen to what Sifuna is saying. If I were Cherargei, if I were President Ruto, I would get very worried. I would not celebrate what I hear from Oburu Odinga, for example, and I have a lot of respect for Oburu Odinga, but Oburu Odinga is already a big beneficiary of the broad-based government. I would not listen very keenly to Oburu Odinga.
What is the difference?
Oburu? No. Oburu Odinga's son has already been appointed as an advisor of William Ruto. Oburu Odinga, there are rumors. These are unconfirmed, and if they are not true.
Rumors here. What I'm trying.
Okay, yes, he is a beneficiary. He's a beneficiary. The son, following
you want the president to listen to Sifuna, but not to Oburu.
Yes, to Sifuna. Yes, that's what I was going to explain. That Sifuna has not directly benefited from this broad-based government, and therefore he is, you know, more realistic in his assessment. So when Sifuna tells you that Ruto will lose with or without Raila, Sifuna has said that.
Why is it when
Sifuna tells you, Sifuna is the Secretary General of ODM. When Sifuna tells you that ODM will be fronting a presidential candidate in 2027, I think if I were Ruto, if I were Cherargei, I would listen more to the Secretary General of a party than other leaders who are direct beneficiaries of the party. Of course, you can see my friend Atadi these days attends all the rallies. Where the government is and supports this broad-based government. Of course, we know he has been able to get the seat that was occupied by Dendi Nyoro. So such people, if you listen to the CSs, of course there are people who are already in that government. Listen to somebody independent like Sifuna. So what I'm saying is, when Cherargei says that Ruto's re-election is a sure bet, where is he going to get the votes? And that's why Ruto is very mad again with Natembeya. Because Natembeya is consolidating the Luhya vote. And I can tell you, Ruto has no votes in Luhya land. Ruto has lost all the votes in the mountain. And so, elected by who? And Raila will either be running or there will be a presidential candidate from ODM. Ruto will not garner even more than 2 million votes. So, when you say his election is a sure bet.
Let me balance this first. Let me balance this and say that national cohesion commission, first, its mandate in its act of parliament is to bring people together. And for those lawyers who may never have been there, and have been there many times since it was formed, when the commissioners first, what they do is to seek to bring the people together, is to seek to understand the comments made by an individual. And the individual is given an opportunity to explain themselves. And their work is to bring cohesion together. But I've seen they say they want to work with other agencies. That's allowed. They work with the DCI. They've got their own investigators. Therefore, I'll be accompanying, as a lawyer, the People's Deputy President, Gachagua, to NCIC. And let them bring everything on the table. And I believe we'll be able to explain.
But weren't those comments in bad taste?
I don't think they were in bad taste. They are simply factual.
Referring to 2007 and 2008 as a Christmas party.
You know that's a history.
There's a difference between insensitive and insightful, but weren't these comments in bad taste?
Well, I only think that they were factual, and I want to explain. 2007 is historical in Kenya. And in my opinion, it should never be repeated. Why did we get there? Because an election was said to have been bungled. We have seen signs and symptoms and speeches from the people in government. In fact, for the first time, I want to thank President Ruto, although he has turned against his word many times. He said, if I lose, I go to Sugoi. I go and do farming. I go and do farming, and I join other Kenyans in building the nation.
Yeah.
And I think if somebody loses an election, should accept they have lost election and wait for another time. Trump lost election, caused a little bit of trouble. Later on, he was re-elected. So if Kenyans don't elect President Ruto, there should be no one to force Kenyans to think otherwise. People should not be saying, the Constitution of Kenya says you are elected for 5 years and re-elected once. You serve 10 years and you retire as a president. So if you are not elected in the first instance, then you should accept and let the country be led by other people. And I can assure you the mood in Kenya now, and even I want to clear Oburu Odinga, my friend. He said, if President Ruto, you don't perform, we are sorry, we will not continue supporting you. So President Ruto is put at a challenge to perform, to put the country right, to cut the cost of living. All those issues, ODM has not stopped pressing. And that's why Raila Odinga said, my agreement with Ruto is in black and white. He has said abductions to stop, human rights to take the reign. He has said all these things. So Raila and ODM are clear in their mind what Ruto must do, and if they don't do, they are not together. Okay. So this chest thumping of people associated with President Ruto should stop. We should just see improvement in the country. All of us want a good country, and I believe when we accompany Rigathi Gachagua to NCIC, we'll clear any doubt in anybody's mind as to his statements. And the Kenyans should not, we should encourage a strong nation and a peaceful nation and a nation with security. That's what brings investors into our country. When we chase away investors from our country, then our youth suffer. And that's what has been happening in the country. We have now the go-downs in industrial area empty where our young people should be working. Every young person, every Kenyan want a good election. And therefore, we should allow IBC to be independent. It should do its work. If William Ruto loses the election, his people, Charagai and the company, should not cause mayhem anywhere. In the Rift Valley, in Nairobi, they should accept. They join the opposition. I'm sure there will be very rough opposition. Whoever forms the next government will have tough opposition from William Ruto. And you need strong opposition as a country. That's why we are checking William Ruto properly and making sure every little mistake he does, we bring it to book so that he can run the government properly for the benefit of the country. If he fails to do so, he will go home. And Kenyans have said one term.
All right. I'll give you a chance to respond, and then we switch to the next conversation where Senator Gloria Oruoba's seat has been declared vacant despite a court order that she received yesterday. Is there freedom of association in this party, UDA? But first respond, and then we get it.
Thank you very much, Trevor. Speaker, for this opportunity.
You'll be speaker one day.
Yes. So I want to advise that if Senator Nyutu and Senator Manzo, with tremendous respect, if they have any information on allegations of rigging of 2027 election, the least they can do is walk to the DCI and report. Because it looks like they know much more than we do. Because myself being in government, I'm not aware of anything that. Number two, IEBC is not in place already. Let the IEBC, we finish constituting.
There's actually a court injunction.
Yeah, there's a court injunction. I'm aware of that. Let it be finished. Number three, he's saying their opposition is robust. As we talk, since the exit of Raila Odinga into broad-based government, the opposition that Manzo and Nyutu are doing is underwhelming and underperforming. I want to ask them to pull up their socks in opposing and criticizing the government. Number four, I am happy with some parts of statement with my brothers in Maanzo that we need a stable country, that they will submit to the process of NCIC and clear any doubt. I think Senator Maanzo should be the correct advisor of Mr. Gachagua, the former deputy president. If the advisor is Senator Nyutu, I'm very worried. At least it is Maanzo who has made Kalonzo to survive outside government for the last 15 years. Because at least you can see him is balanced, is well organized. This country belongs to all of us. And I'm happy he has said, let us go and subject ourselves on NCIC process, clear any doubt. And that is what we are just saying, Trevor. If today anybody has been established by law needs the attention. And I'm saying, they are saying that Senator Cherargei said that the President William Ruto must serve 2 terms. That video is on record. I didn't say they will be rigging of an election. So misleading Kenyans and throwing my names, even using the word manufacture the president. As the word manufacture is similar or a synonym of rigging, it is not. If I say there is no president that has ever served 1 term, it's a fact. And they say facts are stubborn. My brother, senior counsel, is aware of this. That I'm saying Kenyatta served, of course, there was no term limit then for 15 years. Moi served for 24 years. Kibaki served for 10 years. Uhuru served for 10 years. William Ruto would and should serve for 10 years. As the supporters, and as the people who support President William Ruto, because personally, I have no doubt in my mind that the track record that President William Ruto from housing, from social health assurance, from the issue of affordable Inua Jamii, from any other factors that the president, even CSPs, all these factors that the president has worked towards in. And you know, they are judging him over 2.5 years. If the president has performed exceptionally very well for the last 2.5 years, what about 5 years? I can assure you by 2026, 2027, these 2 gentlemen will be the biggest supporters of President William re-election, because what we promised the country is what we are delivering as per the plan of Kenya Kwanza, and now we have married with ODM on some of these. On the issue of...
So will this re-election be based on past presidents having served 2 terms, or is it based on the will of the people?
It is based on the key factors. That's what, you know, I'm stating the fact that no president has served 1 term.
Fine.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
Number 2, I'm saying the track record. The track record, did you see, and I'm happy you covered live as a Citizen TV and other platforms that you have through Royal Media Services. Did you see the joy of the people of Mukuru housing when the president launched, even the prayer, the dance? Because the naysayers could not believe. You know, the people who knew to and Manzo has been asking, give us even 1 room that you have completed under affordable housing program. Those people will have a dignified place. Even in Nandi County, you remember I stated on this show that 80%, 220 housing units in Kapsabet. We have a number of markets that are being constructed across the country. So what I'm saying, it is the will of the people and the track record of Kenyans, but also with an historical fact that no president has ever served 1 term. But I assure you, that is why I want to ask my colleagues. You know, they don't know President William Ruto. He has never lost an election. He became an MP. He teamed up with President Uhuru Kenyatta. He is the first deputy president that brought the jinx of a deputy president not ascending to presidency. Kalonzo was a vice president. He has never succeeded. Rigathi was a deputy president. He will never succeed. So I can assure you, this is a political maverick, and I want to tell Nyutu and Maanzo, the politics of William Ruto is not yet to begin. Tunafanya kazi sahi. But when we will, I will invite you in 2027, you see how we'll do these politics in this country. Okay. On the issue of UDA,
yes,
you know, as much I'm not qualified because I don't hold any official position in UDA. I'm just sitting in National Executive Council and a member of UDA. My problem, and Senator Maanzo will agree with me, because at least he has served with different parties. Although the allegations that he... Yeah, of course, he was in ODM Kenya.
Yes,
he's the one who ran away. He's the one who ran away with the certificate of ODM Kenya, and that gave birth to the ODM. Yeah. And I know he said once in prayer breakfast, and he's organizing one for. I don't know why we pray and then they come and mislead Kenyans, but that is beside the point. What I want to say is that Wiper and any other even UDA.
Yeah.
As not freedom of, you should distinguish freedom of association and loyalty to the party. Even Republican, Democrats, ANC, EFF. And in fact, I'm warning the likes of Newt and others who want to be rebels within UDA. The party will come hard on them.
They have already left.
They have known, that is why the other day, Newt feared to even wear the DCP colors. Because he knew the implication. Did you see him speaking? He has not spoken about DCP because he knows party loyalty is key. Even Maanzo will tell you in Wiper, he cannot appear today and start championing the interests of another party.
Yeah.
And that is what Gloria failed. You know, I have to, and I wish her well, by the way. I wish Senator Gloria all the best in her legal pursuit to look. But I want to advise any person who want to dissent with their sponsoring parties. Yeah. Be very careful. If you want to be independent, just run under independent ticket.
But how is she dissuading from the sponsoring party by associating with Fred Matiang'i?
But there's a statement that she made, the statement that she made in Kisii during Matiang'i's homecoming. Yeah. The statement he made on Friday after appearing before UDA disciplinary was made in bad faith by saying, you know, the fact that Matiang'i is from my community, I had to be there. Which other defense can you? And my lawyers misled her. No, but you don't go and promote ideals. I cannot today go and promote ideals of another party.
There was no party there.
No, we know Matiang'i is associated with a party called UPIA, or is it UPIA?
But it's not declared.
No, but he said, you know, party leader of Senator Gloria Oroba, as it is, should be President William Ruto. But she was saying on record...
Dan Manzo is, you should be disciplined, because Dan Manzo is from White.
But promoting ideals, I'm saying, listen, the Political Parties Act is very clear. Promoting ideals. And I am using an example, when DCP was being launched, did you see Newt wearing even colors of DCP? Because he knows the implication. Did he speak about DCP? He knows the implication. He cannot. Because he knows the moment he wears colors of DCP or makes a comments about DCP, for example, or even Manzo wears colors of UDA or supports UDA, ideals of UDA, he will be disciplined.
That is on the freedom of association. Okay, fine.
Yes.
Be that as it may, because it's an argument that is on both sides.
Yes.
What about the rule of law?
The rule of by the way, let me tell you, under Article 9...
She was still expelled and a seat declared vacant.
Under Article 10 of the Constitution 2010, there is principles of good governance and rule of law, one of the ideals. The rule of law says you must respect the party. Political Parties Act is in place, not as a gift, a Christmas gift, now that we are using the word Christmas. But this one is in good faith. Not as a Christmas gift card. It means also, you know, Trevor, we must have good manners in this country. One of the issues is democracy and rule of law. Political parties does not exist in vacuum. That is why we have parties that are well organized, because they are being funded from the National Exchequer, number one. Number two, we have the legal framework that guides political parties. Okay. So today, if I'm elected in UDA and I start promoting other party, then how will we bring order and discipline and rule of law and democracy in the country? Right. Democracy must be organized.
Okay.
Yeah.
You too. On Gloria Oroba's expulsion and the seat being declared vacant.
Before I get into that, Trevor, allow me to say that I'm very disappointed with Senator Cherargei, because Senator Cherargei has become a professional flip-flopper. You know, he has said that, you remember him in this show, saying that Kalonzo has never been president because if his advisors are the likes of Senator Manzo, then he can never be president. Then he comes back from the time. He says that actually Senator Manzo is a very good advisor. He's the type that should be advising Rigiji. You can actually see the contradiction with Senator Cherargei, a lawyer of, you know, high standing. Yeah. So Senator Cherargei, even as you support the government, and I know you don't support this government from your heart, but because it's politically expedient for Nandi politics, it's good to take care of your interests. But please don't be such, you know, a flip-flopper, because you could end up embarrassing yourself. That you say somebody is a poor advisor in one instance, when you come back you say he's the best advisor ever because he has said what you want to hear. You know, he keeps saying that, you know, Ruto was the track record is clear. He has mentioned affordable housing, you know, the launch and the handover of those units, and the happiness in the people that were handed over these houses. But let me remind Senator Cherargei that if they were actually handed these houses, because you know President Ruto is a very good marketer. If they were handed, I think we will do some research and see how many were handed these houses. If those faces were happy, thank you, they were happy. But behind those happy faces, happy in quotes, those happy faces, they are very sad payslip holders, which is something that Senator Cherargei does not want to talk about. So there are some very sad, crying, payslip holders. There are UHC health workers in the streets of Kenya. And now that he's talking about the track record, and I believe I believe health is much better than, of course, where you live. And I'm not trying to say that people should not be given affordable housing. So when he's talking about a track record of William Ruto, let him also look at these rights. Let him also address the violation of human rights that President Ruto has perpetrated. Abductions, killings, and also the intolerance of President William Ruto. And the case we are talking about, which I'm coming to, of Gloria Oroba, is a sterling, example on the intolerance of President Ruto, and not just Senator Gloria Oroba. With the intolerance of President Ruto, and I'm saying this because he has talked about a track record that will earn President Ruto, in Senator Cherargei is thinking, a re-election. These are also issues. It is not only Senator Gloria Oroba who displays, Ruto's intolerance. Look at the people who brought him to the mountain. Rigathi Gachagua, Ndindi Nyoro, Mithika Linturi, Justin Muturi, Moses Kuria. All these people have been kicked out by President Ruto because of his intolerance. And so even as you talk about the track record, know that there are so many underlying issues that are much, much, much more important in the minds and thinking of Kenyans. And we wish that this matter will be sorted in 2027. He says President Ruto has never lost an election. True. Of course, he has never lost an election. He will lose the first one in 2027. There is always a first time. So it doesn't necessarily follow that because you have never lost an election, that now you will never, ever lose an election again. Senator Cherargei will be here. May God keep us so that you can see President Ruto losing the first election, the most critical, I think, in his life. Now, coming to before I come to the issue of Gloria, he has said that I never spoke during the unveiling of DCP. And you never. I think Senator Cherargei needs to be more observant on matters. Nobody else spoke in that particular function, and I would challenge him to tell me whether he saw anybody else speak. If I had been given an opportunity to speak, I would have spoken and said, yes, I would have spoken and said, and I would have said that this is the party that I'm going to defend my my seat in 2027 on. And that the DCP is the party I'm going to defend my election on in 2027. Very good. In 2027. That is a party that I'm going to vie on. So you also and I would have said that. I've not joined it formally for now, but that this will be my party in 2027. Okay. And there is nothing, wrong with saying I might associate with this. It's just like saying, I think I will marry this girl. You are in school, but you have seen a good girl and you say, when the right time comes, I'll marry this girl. I'm in UDA for now. But there is no problem with me saying that I will vie on DCP in 2027. The other thing, let me tell Senator Cherargei that those of us who support Rigathi Gachagua are not afraid of being kicked out of UDA. And I actually want to tell him to go. I want to challenge UDA to kick us out and precipitate by elections and see what will happen. Okay. So let him not come here and threaten us. Okay. We are in UDA by right for now. And you will leave? At the right time, yes. At the right time, yes. Okay. My contract with UDA is up to 2027. I have not talked about Gloria. Very quickly, I'll talk about it. Gloria, the only thing, and I will be very short, Manzo. Gloria, you only need to see the lightning the speed that Gloria Roba was, kicked out of Senate in from Friday to yesterday, and you have talked about a court order. It has not been honored, and so it is intolerance that we are talking about.
All right.
And so that is President Ruto for you. Okay. That is UDA for you.
All right.
Yes, on Gloria's matter, the reason Gloria is troubled, there was a letter from CS Mutua when Gloria Roba, in her capacity as a senator, brought up an issue of Kenyans who paid monies to get jobs abroad and apparently, lost their money and never got the jobs, and others found themselves in a country called Myanmar, which has where they went into slavery, and some have come back. And she just wanted the cabinet secretary in charge of labor to sort out that particular issue. And that's where our troubles began, because there was a letter which was written by the cabinet secretary seeking, discipline, to be disciplined by a political party. The action they have taken is overboard. It's not justified. And I believe she will succeed in court. Okay. She has barred them from appointing another person in that position and even swearing in another person.
All right.
And therefore, consequently, remunerations must continue as she cases. Okay. And I can assure UDA on this one, they've broken the law of political parties, the constitutional rights of Roba, because you see, the Constitution protects her from these sort of arbitrary actions and illegal actions for speaking out the truth. Okay. And therefore, I believe she'll win in court and she'll be back to Senate.
All right, 1 minute.
Just on the issue of intolerance, Senator Nyutu, by the way, he must do this so that he can get re-election in Murang'a.
He's accusing you of the same thing.
No. Me, I don't have a problem. My consistency of President William Ruto, and even I supported President Uhuru Kenyatta. He was my president. I was the chairman jailer. So I've supported a candidate outside my community. Number two, President William Ruto is not intolerant. If he was intolerant, he would not be working with Raila Odinga. You remember they were the bitter rivals. So this thing of saying President William Ruto is neither here nor there, he has shown, even he has worked with people who have had political differences before and is working with them. Finally, on the issue of Nyoro, I want to confirm, and I'm surprised that Senator Nyutu should have watched the Sagana interview, and I'll invite him to go and rewatch on YouTube, that President William Ruto saying indeed Nyoro is the young man I'm mentoring. So I don't know what he got. On the issue of de-whipping of the committees, you can see UDA was right to de-whip people like Nyutu from Education Committee and the rest, because you can see they are no longer loyal to the party. So you cannot have your cake and eat it. You cannot be opposing a party, then you want to benefit from it. Okay. And therefore, the party democracy, party loyalty should be absolute.
Okay.
We don't take chances. You must be loyal to the party. And I want to dare them. Yeah. If they are men and women enough, let them resign from UDA, seek fresh mandate from DCP. Okay. Then we will know if they are real men or women.
All right.
I can tell you they are fearful. They will chicken out.
Let's see what the people are saying. There's a lot of feedback coming through at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. Let's read some of them and see what you're saying. Rumor says democratic space is shrinking in East Africa. What was the problem with Kenyans attending Tundu Lissu's treason trial? What happened to the East African Community Treaty? We are witnessing a stifling of human rights.
We will answer.
Frank Orinde says the state of the nation is worrying. Diplomacy has devolved into a blame game, with the Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary making reckless remarks. Hate speech is on the rise, loud, divisive, and unchecked. Meanwhile, the NCIC remains a toothless spectator, biased, partisan, you name it. Well, okay. Anthony says NCIC is a joke. It's a commission that should no longer waste public resources. It has seen nothing wrong with the utterances of Kiborek, Kamket, and Sudi so far. It's a political bulldog serving individual interests, not those of Kenyans. Okay. Bob Otieno says remarks linked to the 2007 post-election violence were not incitement but conditional, and he said if the elections were messed up. Yet the NCIC remains a toothless dog, only reacting after the government side raises complaints. Leki Sean says Tanzanian opposition leader Tundu Lissu faces treason charges. His party is banned from elections, free speech is curtailed, and the media is muzzled. Why attack Kenyan lawyers observing his case? The likes of Cherargei seem to admire such repression, sadly hinting at Kenya's possible future. Eric Otondi says, can Senator Cherargei explain to Kenyans why only opposition leaders are being summoned while government allies like Farah Maalim, who made a reckless statement about Gen Zs, face no consequences? Who summoned him? It's absurd. Bobotieno says, dispatching Oruabe from the seat is Oruaba from the seat is a dictatorial move by UDA. We saw some ODM party members working with them, that's a UDA, even before their party leader, Honorable Raila Odinga, joined them, and they were never dispatched. Okay. That's where we leave it for now, gentlemen. Thank you so much for making time on the State of the Nation. Honorable Joe Nyutu, Senator Muranga, Samson Tirarge, Senator Nandi, and Dan Manzo, Senator Makueni. Thank you all. That has been the State of the Nation. Coming up next is Cooking Tips. Bye for now.